Hey everyone, Mike Miller with the Herald Times, joined by IU basketball columnist Jeremy Price, previewing Wednesday's 6:30 game against Penn State. Indiana looking to get back in the win column after two losses in a row on the road at Michigan and at Northwestern. Both those games were pretty ugly if you're an IU fan. Indiana's going to be looking to get back in the swing of things without James Blackman. Won't be available yet again in this game against Penn State. Obviously, Blackman had a terrific game at State College 2 weeks ago, had that buzzer-beating three-pointer to get the win, but their safety net, the guy who bailed them out of a late collapse in the final 9-8 minutes of that game, won't be available.
Yeah, and it's obviously not the first time that Indiana's been shorthanded at home. The last time the Hoosiers were at home was against Michigan State, which was the first game without OG Anunoby after the injury at Penn State. So being back home will probably go a long way towards helping Indiana try to overcome the loss of Blackman in this case. And obviously it sets up a game that's a must-win for any number of reasons for Indiana, whether it's confidence, whether it's resume, standing in the Big Ten, take your pick. It's a big game.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it. The margin for error is absolutely razor thin at this point. You know, the early games that they've lost against Wisconsin, Nebraska, they put them in this situation. You absolutely cannot lose to Penn State tomorrow. You got to get these home wins when you can get them, especially looking at 5 of the final 9 games on the road for Indiana. To get it, they're going to have to get more contributions from the freshmen, younger guys just in general. Making things a little bit problematic is a guy like Curtis Jones is not quite healthy. He's on that long list of injured Hoosiers, joined by Juwan Morgan, who's far from 100%. Deron Davis has been a little banged up, but you look at some of the guards, especially in the wake of Blackman's absence. Jones, Devontae Green obviously started the last game. Those are kind of the guys you look at and say, all right, you're back at home. Let's try to get some momentum, some confidence built for those guys.
And obviously that's much easier to do at home. I also think Penn State is probably a matchup that's a little more comfortable for some of those guys. Devontae Green made his first start at Northwestern, struggled a little bit on the road against a veteran backcourt, against a veteran guy like Bryant McIntosh. This is a little different situation. Green's most likely would be matched up with another freshman, Tony Carr, who had a good game against Indiana in State College, but I think it's a little more positive matchup for Green. Obviously, he can play to his strengths, which is on the defensive end of the floor, and then if he can get some creativity going offensively, that can really help Indiana. And hopefully, for Indiana, I think the idea is that if they could get off to a decent start in this one, get the crowd behind them, and sort of get things snowballing as they tend to do. This isn't a Penn State team that really comes in hot by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, the loss to Indiana started a 3-game losing streak, which they only snapped by beating Illinois at home, and that was a game where Penn State was up 20 and saw it dwindle down to 2 or 3, and they wound up winning by 4. So obviously it's a very winnable situation, a much more manageable situation than those 2 road games last week.
Yeah, it's also a Penn State team that can score in bunches at times too, and they have the talent, a level of talent we haven't seen at Penn State in quite a long time, maybe not since they've been in the Big Ten. So it's definitely a team that can come in here, as they've done in the past, and play pretty well. We'll see what happens 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday evening. You can catch the game on BTN. Catch us on Twitter at Mike Miller HT, at JP Price. We'll chat afterwards.